Welcome, witches, wizards, and muggles alike, to another enchanting episode of Magical Tales from the Slytherin Common Room, bringing your favorite Harry Potter fanfiction to audio format. So sit back, relax, and lock your headphones and let the magic begin. Apostasy by Deydralinne, Chapter 49, What's Wrong with Pink? Her mind was still in a haze when they finally summoned new clothes and made their way next door to check on Ginny, who had a far too amused look on her face, as did Blaise, while Ron, who was bound in chains, looked livid. Hermione turned and whacked Draco's chest. "The room wasn't silenced?" she hissed. Draco shrugged, seemingly not bothered by their earlier show. No, it was not," Blaise chuckled. "Fucking disgusting. Nothing more than a slut," Ron growled under his breath. Hermione put a hand on Draco's chest, stopping him from reacting. This was Ginny's kill to make. "Whoops, sorry about that," Hermione offered Ginny and Blaise with a pleased smirk. Ginny shook her head with a small giggle. "Don't be. I nearly wet my pants from laughing so hard as this shithead's reaction to it. Best form of torture ever." "Enjoy the show then, did you, Weasel?" Draco drawled. Ron spat in their direction with a sour look on his face. Hermione snorted at how pathetic he seemed. Somewhere along the way, Ron had let this bitterness twist him and turn him into such an angry person, which was ironic considering he took so much issue with her changing because her changing came with bloodshed. "Did you get the safe houses?" Ginny suddenly perked up. Hermione hummed and nodded. "Yup, a few hours ago. Pansy's already coordinating everything." "So that's it then," Ron snapped. "You're really just going to kill everyone in the order." Hermione quirked an eyebrow at him. "That's how victories are won, Weasley. But no. People will have a choice. They can either get on board with the new government or they can die as radicals as the bad guys. Because that's what you will be in history books. A lesson." "That is so fucked up. That's... Ron shook his head. Hermione laughed. "That's politics." And she turned to her friends again. "Speaking of, I have some meetings tomorrow I need to prepare for. Are you okay here?" Ginny waved her hand. "Yeah, we're done anyway." Ginny turned her head to look at her husband and batted her eyelashes. "Babe, could you?" Hermione knew it was one thing for Ginny to sign off on his death and another thing to actually be the one to kill her brother. "No, wait. I'll get on board," Ron pleaded. Draco shook his head and muttered, "Coward," beneath his breath. "Oh, no, you misunderstood. You don't get that option," Ginny snarled. "Not after everything you've done. I would ask you to say hi to Mom and Dad for me, but..." "Go to hell," Ron snapped. His chest rose and fell with short, frightened inhales. Ginny narrowed her eyes and gave him a tight-lipped smile. "See you there." Blaise flexed his fingers, and Hermione watched as Ronald Weasley, aged 25, began to slowly suffocate as he choked. His face turned as red as his hair, his eyes bulging and becoming bloodshot, his mouth gasping for air that never came. Eventually, the red coloring made way for purple as his feet started to jerk, and most unfortunately, a horrid smell began to fill the room. The smell of defecation. "Oh, God!" A chorus of disgusted sounds came from the four of them as they blocked their noses and tried to turn away from it to escape. Then, it all just stopped. He was still and very, very dead. Draco rushed to the door and pulled it open for everyone to escape the room, slamming the door shut behind them. All of them breathing in the fresh air of the basement's corridor. "Fucking hell, that was rancid," Hermione spluttered. "How the hell are we going to get rid of him now? Because I'm not going back in there," Hermione questioned. Draco grimaced. "How do we feel about cremation?" he asked, looking at Ginny expectantly. Ginny snorted. "Like it's an amazing idea if you want to set the chateau on fire." "I'll take that risk," Draco deadpanned. "Don't be ridiculous. Can't Zimmy help?" Hermione suggested hopefully. Gasp came from both Blaise and Draco simultaneously. "Hermione Granger, are you suggesting we abuse our poor senior elf?" Hermione gave them a pointed look. "Would you rather deal with it yourself?" Blaise grimaced. "Fair point. Zimmy!" The small, elderly elf popped out of the ground and glared at them. "The bodies is already gone. You owe Zimmy a bag of Skittles." The grumpy little elf looked at them. Sour ones this time, the big bagsies. Consider it done. Thank you, Zimmy. Blaze bowed to the creature, who huffed in annoyance and popped away again. Hermione stared at the man, waiting for an explanation he hadn't given. Theo discovered Skittles a few years ago. It started as a bribing technique, but it's quickly become a bonus, if you will, when the more unsavory jobs arise, and even when they haven't, Draco said, seeing her face. Hermione tried to imagine the little elf eating Skittles and snorted. Okay, well, you probably should have told us that. I've been getting him to clean for me for weeks. Oh, well, yeah, you probably owe him a bag then, too. Don't worry. He will invoice you when he feels it's time. He'll invoice me? Hermione repeated. Yep. Anyways, what do you say we all go to dinner to celebrate? Draco straightened. Daphne is going crazy, and I'm pretty sure she is going to murder Pansy if we don't do something to get her out of the room. We could even see if we can break Astoria out for a few hours. Get her and Theo out of the hospital? He slid closer to Hermione and grabbed at her waist, pulling her to him. Little whining and dining, early night in, he whispered the last part suggestively. I shall go let Daphne know, Blaise said, looking at his wife for a while. His dark brown eyes slid over to Hermione and then to Draco, giving him a tip of his head. Draco, mercifully, seemed to pick up the message that Blaise was trying to portray because he cleared his throat. I'll go see what I can do on the hospital front, placing a kiss to the top of Hermione's head before he and Blaise strolled away down the hall. Ginny rolled her eyes and shook her head. Blaise is worried about me, she said, turning inward to bump her shoulder against Hermione's as they began a slow, meandering pace back toward the stairs. Because of Ronald? Ginny nodded. Hermione eyed her best friend to make her own assessment. Why? I think he expected a reaction from me, even just a little one. Ginny sighed, rubbing her fingers through her hair. But I kind of just feel there's a tiny part of me buried away deep down that feels some type of loss. He was still blood family, but I wouldn't say I'm sad about it. He made his choice, and I made mine. I knew his death was coming the moment he left Dartmoor that day. Hermione nodded and waited in silence as they climbed the stairs out of the basement. A hidden door at the side of the main staircase disguised as paneling being their escape from the lower level. Hermione had passed it 100 times before she had seen its first use, and it was during Harry's temporary imprisonment that she learned of its existence. Come help me get ready, Hermione said, leading the way up to her room. She'd been spending noticeably more and more time in Draco's room as of late. On the occasions she didn't, Hermione often woke up to him curled around her after having crept in during the night. It should have been alarming, the way he would appear beside her and she wouldn't wake at all. But she was choosing to see it as a sign that she innately knew he was safe. Plus, she always slept better when he was around anyways. Hermione grabbed a packet of cigarettes off her bedside table and offered one to Ginny, who took one with a small smile. The patio was cool. The colder weather had started settling in hard and fast, and a breeze that had been sweet and summery only a few weeks ago now sent shivers down her spine. The sun had been replaced by gray, overcast skies, and Hermione found a spot near the wall of her patio closest to Ginny's room and sunk down to the ground, leaning against it where they would be sheltered from the wind. Ginny slid down beside her and sighed in relief as she exhaled, examining the cigarette intensely. I'm not sad he's dead, she declared firmly. I'm sad that he was never who he should have been. George would have knocked Harry into next week if he had found out he was cheating. He would have done the same to Ron when he snapped your wand. He didn't sit by and let people openly talk shit about us. He didn't openly talk shit about us. He never would have stood by while Harry... Ginny let her head fall to the side and looked at Hermione with a quiet acceptance. Ronald was supposed to be my brother, but he just stopped. A long time ago. I'm not sad he's dead. I'm sad he wasn't my brother to begin with. Hermione nodded, offering her pinky out to the redhead, who exhaled a tiny lap and took it with her own. Hermione's magic pulsated through her and buzzing across the surface of her skin and transferring to Ginny's a promise of solidarity, to be by her side always. A promise she had made 1,000 times over the years. The level of stupidity in some people is astounding to me. Ginny's forehead dipped into a confused frown. What? Hermione exhaled and looked into Ginny's eyes. I mean, he would have to be right. To not want to do everything he could to make your life better. I'm not even your sister, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for you because of who you are as a person. I'm just saying that he must be fucking stupid not to see that. Ginny bumped her shoulder into Hermione's and rested against it. Can't keep doing this, Ginny mumbled as she took a deep breath. Blaise and I are not trying. Hermione blinked at her. What? She laughed. What does that even mean? We aren't trying for a baby, but we aren't stopping anything from happening either, Ginny shrugged. Hermione lurched upright. Wait, are you serious? She looked at her seriously. Yes, Ginny exhaled slowly. Hermione stared at her in shock, unsure how the knowledge that one day soon Hermione was going to be an aunt was seemingly not big news. Hermione eyed the cigarette as Ginny put it in her mouth again with narrowing eyes before reaching out and snatching it from the witch, who straightened. Hey! Ginny snapped. Hermione threw it away on the ground in annoyance. If I had known that, then I never would have offered you one. Ginny rolled her eyes. Dramatic much. I'm not pregnant yet. Hermione shook her head. Nope, not risking it. She dismissed, vanishing her own smoke too and climbing to her feet. Come on, you can pick out my outfit while I shower. I'm pretty sure anywhere that lot is likely to take us would frown upon me being covered in someone else's blood. And there was a lot of it, apparently, if the water in the bathroom of her shower was anything to go by. She hadn't realized the extent of how much of Kingsley's blood had gotten on her, dried, and become stuck to her skin. But washing it off felt like starting over. Finally, she could sink into the depths of this new life without worrying about retaliation from the beasts lurking below the surface. Her skin was nearly raw by the time she felt she had scrubbed it all clean of the sticky residue. Her hair sweet and smelling of vanilla and raspberry. Ginny had dressed into a black chiffon dress that finished just past her knees with long sheer sleeves and a pinched waist by the time Hermione had emerged from the shower. A knee-length, form-fitting, glittery gray dress with a nice black dress jacket was waiting for her. Get dressed, and I'll do your hair, Ginny mumbled as she did her own. By the time they made their way downstairs, everyone was showered, dressed, and waiting in the sitting room, casually lounging about and chatting while the wireless played softly in the background. Astoria and Theo brightened as Hermione and Ginny walked in. Hi, guys, Astoria sang cheerfully. You've been broken free, I see, Hermione smiled. Astoria shrugged. I have been given an overnight pass, but if there are any issues, I have to go back. I've been given strict rules to follow, not to get too excited or drink any alcohol or to get too cold. The blonde witch rolled her eyes. Or do anything that resembles living. Hermione scoffed. Well, I, for one, am thrilled to see you. Her eyes shifted to Draco, who was eyeing her with appreciation. There's just something about the way his white dress Oxford shirt sleeves were rolled halfway up his arms, exposing the black snake on his forearm, and the unbuttoned collar that melted her insides like lava. Their eyes clashed, and she could see the fire burning beneath the surface, his presence jumping into her mind and caressing the edges seductively. Hermione bit her bottom lip and fought a smirk of anticipation as she sat on Astoria's other side. How are you feeling? Alive. They keep pumping me full of potions that are helping my organs to regenerate, but it's slow going. I can't feel it anymore, the curse. It felt thick in my veins, but I didn't know that's what it was until it was gone. I owe you my life, Hermione Granger, she finished seriously, with eyes glistening with unshed tears. Hermione waved her off with a smile. I'm starving. Where are we going?